Good day, everyone. Our topic is all about feeds and feeding management. So, this topic is very important because it improves diets with better feed efficiencies and use of ecologically sound feeding management that will lead to significant reduction of waste from aquaculture. A good quality feed and appropriate feeding management maximize feed efficiency, lower cost of production, and reduced environmental degradation. So let's discuss. For our objectives, at the end of the chapter, the students should be able to 1. Cite and understand the importance of different nutrients required by aquatic species. 2. Perform feed formulation from indigenous feedstuffs. And 3. Know various feeding strategies and perform proper feeding management. And number 4, evaluate the growth of fish using different methods of analyzing growth parameters. So we have aquaculture, feeds, and foods. So if fish are fed properly, then they will be less susceptible to disease. Appropriate use of a good feed will improve growth rates, reduce crop time, and result in larger fish. For kinds of fish foods, we have natural foods and artificial foods. Natural foods are those that are grown and or growing in the water, and then artificial foods are those that are introduced or given to aquatic animals being reared. Fishes are cold-blooded vertebrate aquatic animals, so they prefer to feed various types of food due to their different food and feeding habits. Among them, some feed on plant-based food and some like to eat animal-based foods, while many fish species take both plants and animals-based food and are known as omnivorous. In this case, live fish food play an important role in aquaculture. So, yun nga, we have different types of foods that are produced naturally in ponds or reservoir. These are called natural foods. They are very small, so this is the example, and their movements depend on the direction of the water current that helps goes towards them, towards the fish. They are known as the plankton. Plankton can be seen in all types of reservoir except for high-flowing rivers. On the other hand, when we cultivate fish in large quantities and raise them, then it will not depend only on natural food. They have to provide supplementary or artificial food made from outside. Besides, if we depend only on natural foods, they can disrupt the entire nutrition of the fish. So that is why we have artificial foods. And then on other references, we have complete feeds which may also be regularly distributed, and they are made from a mixture of carefully selected ingredients to provide all the nutrients necessary for the fish to grow. They must be made in a form which the fish find easy to eat and digest. So yon, we have here um, everything depends on the feeding habit of the fish. So there are fish, for example, with silver carp. They are phytoplankton feeders. For grass carp, they are plant feeders. For big head carp, they are zooplankton feeders. Common carp, Cyprinus carpio, they are bottom feeders. And catfish, they are actually predators. So, iba-iba, different ang feeding habits nila. Then we have kinds of artificial feed. We have single ingredient feed, plant origin and animal origin, compound feed or formulated feed with two or more ingredients. So, basic feeding principles. Underfeeding leads to a loss in fish productivity, while overfeeding is uneconomical and also leads to poor water quality and production losses. More feed is required in warm water than in cooler water. So it is very important that everything is on equilibrium because underfeeding and overfeeding affects the production of the fish. We have classification of artificial diet feed, purified diet, and practical diet. For purified diet, a diet which contains pure nutrients, for example, casein. Yung casein, nag-contain siya ng 99.99% protein. And then we have practical diet, which is a diet that contains varied nutrients from a single ingredient, example, fish meal, or from compound feed, example, is commercial pellet feed. So we have two kinds of pellets. We have sinking pellets, which is best for demersal or bottom feeders, although good for column feeders and surface feeders reared in low water level. We have floating pellets, which is best strictly for surface and column feeders. So sinking pellets are adapted to mechanical feeding and can be handled considerably without deterioration. Sinking pellets are sometimes used in winter when the fish do not regularly surface. So, also, by pelleting some feeds, it can be avoided to harm some ingredients which do not like the exclusion process. While floating feeds has very strong water stability within apart within 16 to 32 hours with little pollution on the water. Spongy porous floating pellet feed for pelagic fish floats in the water, which is easy to observe, and the fish feeding growth, conducive to scientific management. For physical form, shape of feed diet, we have pellet, normally tubular in shape, granulized, crumble, broken pellet, irregular in shape, ball form, powder or mashed form, cubes, and flakes. For types of feed, we have pre-starter feed, has the highest protein level. Fish starter is an excellent product to support a smooth transition between the high protein and fat levels of gemma when in the catfish. Grower diets that are lower in protein and fat. The product can be used when fry reach 0.3 grams. Then we have starter feed, grower feed, finisher feed, which is the lowest protein content. While grower feed, each feed is adapted to the specific nutritional needs of each species, a blend of carefully selected raw material and a production which conforms to the highest quality standards result in grower feeds which provide all essential nutrients and energy required by growing fish. So, ang pinaka-rich in protein is the starter feed, and lowest protein content is the pre-starter feed has the highest protein level, and finisher feed has the lowest protein content. Methods of applying artificial feeds, we have broadcasting. Feed is evenly distributed over the surface of the water. Hand feeding, we have feed is distributed by hand in specific parts of the rearing area. We have automated demand feeder. Feed is released by way of a trigger mechanism which is activated by the fish. Select feeding. Feed is distributed using a boat, etc. at specific parts of the rearing area. Feeding trays. Feed is placed in trays which may be submerged or floating. And lastly, feeding frames, in which feed is placed in floating frames, which prevent floating feeds from dispersing. There are several occasions in which it is advantageous or evenly compulsory to stop feeding the fish. So when the water temperature is too low or too high, when dissolved oxygen content is low, on the day manure is applied to the pond, and if disease epidemic appears in the pond. And then brand names of feeds, which is pinaka-known, we have BMEG, Vetarich, Tate, and Hokpo.